Welcome to KR Films Entertainment Channel. Today I'm going to be explaining that 1995 film A Little Princess. The princess saw a wounded deer and as the prince to save the deer the prince threw a circle around a princess as long as the princess stays in this magic circle is safe. What kind of magic to the prince have serious Hughes listening to the story with great interest. She and her father had lived in India for many years, everyone here doted on her. But the war broke out and they had to leave India. Her father returned to war in Syria, was sent to a boarding school for girls in New York. On their boat her father gives Zero locket with a picture of her mother when Sara arrives at the school. She is greeted by the principal. The principal shows them around the school and introduces them to the curriculum. Sara sees a girl in the hallway and tries to say hello but is stopped by the principal. She took Sara to the classroom and introduced her to the students. She took her to the luxurious dormitory. The dormitory was carefully chosen for Sara by your father. He also brought serious Dalton, New York. He said the Dulwich sends serious thoughts. When she hugs that all she gets a response from her father. It was time to part ways. Sara began life at boarding school. But she soon found out that there were a lot of rules. Breakfast is not served until all the students are pressed. Becky hands or food. Sara thanked her politely but was reprimanded by the principal. She says there's no talking at the table. But Sara says it's not natural. Everyone has to go over their homework before class. If someone didn't answer a question, they were severely reprimanded by the principal. Sara saw the girl was to use in her eyes. This life mate said. She sheds tears when she wrote to her father. One day she saw a girl crying because she missed her dead mother. Sara reassured the girl that she too have lost her mother. But their mothers were watching them from heaven and blessing them. That grow stop crying and or tenderness. Sara spotted Becky not far away and tried to say hello to her, but back he ran away immediately, because students will be punished if they greet the maid. Sara noticed that Becky had no shoes and her feet were covered in frostbite. So the next day she gave Becky a pair of shoes. In that evening it was time for everyone to read aloud. When Sara read aloud, she thought the story had a bad ending and made up a good one. The principal was furious and sent the students back, but late at night a girl marks on Sara's toe. More and more girls gradually came to a room. They all came to listen to Sara's story. Even Becky leaned over the door and listened to the stories. Sara gained more and more friendships. One day her birthday arrived, but she received shocking news. On that day the principal was too snobbish. When a student's family is rich, she celebrates the student's birthday. Incarcerate little princess. Once the student's parents died in the war, she cancelled a birthday party and took away everything from the student. She kicks Sara out of the luxury suite and even made her work as a maid to pay for her tuition. It's stormy outside. Syria is devastated by the loss of her father. She puts the candles on the floor and curls up on one side and falls asleep. The former little princess is turned into a maid. Sara has to serve food to her classmates early in the morning. The students are ordered not to talk to Sara anymore while they were in class. Sara struggles to mop the hallways. When she goes shopping in the street she falls to the ground after being pushed by people. She looks up and sees an Indian man with a monkey. Ram looked at her with pity. In the distance there was a whale. He turned out that the school neighbor's son had also died in that war. Sara looked at them a little sad. At night back he gave Zero pillow she had sewn by hand. She sewed on the pillow all the beautiful things that Sara had said. She asked Sara why she didn't continue the story, but Sara said they were all thick and didn't mean anything. There is no magic in this war. World War has destroyed countless people. Sara saw a mother and daughter wandering in the street. The little girl kept staring at a bread, so she gave it away. The mother was grateful and gave for a flower. Sara placed deflowered in our neighbor's house. She hoped the flowers would comfort him in his pain of losing his own. Ramps all of this. He knew that this little girl was always kind. Late at night Sara couldn't resist. Becky is begging and told her story of India. She was in a trance and saw the bright sun shining on her. Some students at school also asked her to finish her story. Gradually more and more girls came to the attic and gathered around Sara to listen to the story. At the same time the neighbor got the news about his son and rushed to the battlefield hospital. But the man in the hospital bed was not his son. Ram says that this man is in the same regiment as his son and can be taken back to care for him. When the patient woke up he might tell him where his son was, so Charles took the patient to live Next to the school in this patient is Sirius father who died in the war with Sara doesn't know anything. The students who listened to our story decided to do something for Sara to repair. The crew stood at the window and watched the principal leave. She turned around and waved, and then one of the girls saw a teacher in the office. The teacher is framed by the crying and washes out. The girl snuck into the office. While she was trying to calm their partner, they came to look for Sirius like it, but at that moment, the principal realized that he had missed something and turned back to the school. The girls successfully found the locket, but the principal's hand also touched the door suddenly. The principal looked at Becky in confusion. Becky was stalling for time. The girls sneak out of the office behind the principal. That's when Becky said she saw a mouse. The principal ignores her and goes into her office. That night, the girls sneak up to the attic and return Sirius' lock it to her. Sara smiled happily. She told the girls' stories again, but this night the principal left extra late. She heard the girls laughing and caught them. Everyone was punished. Sirius' punishment was the worst. She couldn't eat for a day and had to do all the work. The principal said that Sara was no longer a princess, she was just a poor girl who lived in a shabby attic. Sara says that even though all the girls are stupid, utterly ignored, they are still princesses. Becky is worried that they going to store. Sara, however, is very open-minded. She told Becky to imagine that they would be sausages in muffins on the crummy table. And they put on their gorgeous warm clothes and ate their food at the table. The two girls fell asleep with their imaginations, but when they woke up the next day, the attic was a different place. They were covered in go-to satin and there were flowers around the bed. There were many parts of food on a table not far away. Everything was just as they had imagined it the night before. Becky woke up and was stunned at the scene. They were dressed in gorgeous clothes and sitting at the table eating their food. Ram was watching them from across the loft and smiling. It's Tommy. That night, the principal finds the locket missing and goes up to the loft again. She was surprised to see the drastically changed room. She says Sara is a thief and calls the police to catch her. Sara panics and removes a board to put between the attic and then the neighbor's house. She lifted Becky and promised to come back and take her away. Then she climbed up the plank. Just as she was getting to the other side, suddenly the plane fell. Sara was lucky enough to catch the edge of the balcony. She climbed up with her feet on the wall. In her confusion, she burst into her father's room. By now her father had awakened and removed the cause, but he had lost his memory and didn't know he was. Sara looked up and saw a familiar face. Sirius Dunn and Hell's father. Crew looks at her blankly. The principal came and told the police to take zero away. Crew's heart ached for a moment. He remembered everything. Then he ran out and shouted Sear's name. Father and daughter are finally reunited. The principal looked at them and fled with some killed. Later, Crew tell the neighbor where his son is going. He took back all his possessions to bring Sir home along with Sara. Becky leaves Crew it up Stacy and makes them real sisters. The students were sad to see Sara. Sara gave them the doll. She said the dolls could send their longing. This movie, A Little Princess, was released in 1995. One of the most memorable lines in this movie's "Every girl is a princess." He doesn't matter if she lives in a palace or a crumbling attic. It doesn't matter if she's young or old, as long as she has a good heart, then every girl is a princess. Thanks for watching.